Hello, 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 everyone. Avenger Green here. So, due to time constraints, I've had to basically combine my Miles Morales Spider-Man review with this week's What Else I Read. So, yeah, let's get down to it. So, this issue of Miles Morales Spider-Man actually has a stand-in artist Partha Partim instead of Federico Vicenti. But honestly, she fits. She matches the usual art style of the book. And speaking of the book, we actually do have a lot of interesting things happening. So the first thing is that Miles actually starts going to therapy with Doc Samson. He basically learns some breathing exercises, learning that maybe his spider sense being all like crazy is basically just because he's been on guard for so long. And it's some really good stuff. It really does feel like maybe Cody Ziegler's drawing from personal experience. I don't know if he went to therapy before, but it does kind of feel like this is ran by someone who has at least done some research. After that, we get a quick battle between Miles and the new Cape Killer villainess as Hightail at super speed. We learn that she's Dominican, and which leads to some fun interaction with her and Miles, and hell, even an entire conversation in Spanish. We learn that, yeah, she's really tough. She has super speed, but she still can't track Miles down when he turns invisible. And third, one thing, and apparently it's building up the next story arc where because when Miles ends up going to take the trash out, he ends up coming across a vampire and gets his ass saved by Blade and his daughter Bloodline. So yeah, Miles is now dealing with vampires in Brooklyn. Now moving on to Incredible Hulk issue 4, I'll admit this was a bit of a downgrade from the last issue. Not in terms of writing, because it's Philip Kennedy Johnson. His writing's always on point. No, I mean more that the art kind of took a downgrade from Nick Klein's incredibly awesome and bombastic artwork to Travel Foreman's, not quite as bombastic art. I'll fully admit that I've never really been a fan of Travel Foreman's artwork. I mean, the guy draws decent monsters and stuff, but I don't know. His human characters always look weird to me. And it does fit like the horror aesthetic of the current Hulk book, but I don't know. I think Nick Klein's just fit better because it wasn't just horror, it was also a big monster book. So, yeah, the storyline is still good. It's still setting up now Man-Thing is somehow involved with this whole thing about the mother and this really ancient evil. All that the Hulk is now finding himself a target of. And we get this cool little swamp witch monster for the next issue. But, yeah. Not really a fan of the art on this one. So, speaking of good art, let's talk about the manga Skeletonite in Another World Volume 1. So, for those of you who don't know, this is an isekai story about a gamer who gets trapped in a fantasy world as his own video game character, and since he had the skeleton skin on the last time he played the game, that skeleton look is now his permanent look. And I know what you're probably thinking, oh, an isekai with an overpowered protagonist. Yes, I've seen that one before, but it's in the execution and I think makes this story shine. Ark is just a really fun protagonist. Unlike a lot of isekai protagonists who are just broody, overly serious, or just clumsy, Ark is a lot of fun, and he really enjoys the fact that he's in a fantasy world. You're like, this is the most exciting thing that's ever happened to him, and he's enjoying it. And probably also really helps that the art in this manga by Akira Sawano is also really expressive. If they really know how to draw good creatures and especially the action. These are some really well drawn on panels. So yeah, and his first volume is about Ark meeting his two biggest allies, Panta, the other nine-tailed fox, who's adorable. Oh, and of course, Lady Ariane on the Dark Elf. Oh, and their first mission is basically teaming up to save a bunch of elves from being turned into slaves. Because I have read and further ahead, and see the anime version, this does lead into an overarching story. So yeah, that's what I read this week. If you guys like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button so you always know when I upload a new video. Until next time, have a great day.